Hello everyone, I'm Mario and I am a motion designer. In today's tutorial we're gonna recreate this scene together inside Cinema 4D, and we will cover everything from the modeling to the animation. In case you want to know how to render this animation in Octane, go to the tutorial up here because there are the same elements like same texture, same lighting, and the project file is available for free download on my Gumroad profile, link in the description. And said so, let's jump into the tutorial. Okay, first of all, let's paste in the scene the common objects we are using in this tutorial series. And in case you missed what I'm doing here, just go to the tutorial up here. It's the first tutorial of this animation series, so you can see how to get these objects. Okay, so let's jump into the camera and let's create a little cube. But before, just to get less distraction, go to no display, go to options, then click on texture or shortcut N and Q to hide the texture so we can just focus on the modeling for now. Okay, now I'm just editing the cube. I want it to be like a very small tile, and so let me fix some numbers, let me do some text, some back and forth until I find something that I like. Okay, maybe this is okay. Don't forget to add a little bit of fillet, in this case 1 cm is perfect. And let's move it higher just a little bit. We want to simulate like the two objects are touching each other. Okay, now we want to create a small floor using this little cube, and we want the sphere to do this rotation. We can do this in two ways. The first one is manually. We can duplicate the cube holding Ctrl and drag and dropping. It will take forever. Don't do this, please. There is a better and smarter way, but first of all, let's rename the cube. Select the cube, go to the Mograph panel and holding Alt, insert a cloner. Okay, it seems like nothing is happening. Don't worry, it's okay. Just move the settings. You see something is happening here. This is a Mograph cloner, and as the name suggests, it can clone the objects. In this case, we are just using the standard mode that is linear. So we are creating 3 copies of our cube at X distance of 131 centimeters. It means that every 131 centimeters we will have a new copy of our object. And if we change some settings, things will appear differently. We can also create a radial clone, so it will clone our objects like in a radial way. We can also change the plane of transformation. There's also the honeycomb array that will clone our objects in a, honeycomb grid. This transformation works very well with the hexagons polygons, so we can skip it. There's also the object mod that will allow us to clone our objects using another object in the scene. Maybe we will cover this in a future tutorial, I don't know. For now, let's go to the grid array. With the grid array, we can create clones in a 3D grid, and in this value point, the middle one, I'm using that now. We can control the height of the grid. For now, we don't need it, so let's keep it to 1. And let's say, for example, 5 clones by 5. We can set the distance from each clone in two ways, the endpoint or per step. With the endpoint, we are just specifying the maximum size of the grid. For this tutorial, we will use the per step. I prefer this way of cloning. Because with per step we can specify the exact distance between every cloned object. So in this case our cube is 75 by 75, let's go per step of 77 by 77. Now the clones are very close, but they are not touching each other, and to see this better, press N and A to hide the lines in our scene, and N and B to show the lines again. Okay, maybe this floor is much bigger than expected, so let's scale the dimension to 60 by 60, and in the steps, let's go for 61 by 61, or maybe 62, yeah, it's better. Okay, I like the grid. Probably you have noticed that the floor is different from the one I showed you in the beginning. Don't worry, this is just for having a quicker way to calculate the loop. you will see the next steps. And don't forget the actual project, the original one, is downloadable for free on my Gumroad profile. The link is in the description. So let's jump into the animation. Okay, so select the cloner, go to the Mograph panel, go to effector and select plane. Okay, something is happening. What's happening? Go to the effector tab, the parameter tag of the plane, and we see that we are just moving the world cloner in the position in this case. Let's remove it, we don't need it for now. Select scale, click uniform scale and play around with settings. See, we're just scaling every object in the clone to change its scale according to the value we've selected. For now, let's go to -1. With -1, we're just making the objects to disappear completely. I'll go to plane and click on fall off. Just let me explain what a fall off is, selecting a linear field. Okay, something is definitely happening. See the yellow box we just inserted in our scene? Well, that's a fall off. If we move it, we can see that our cloned objects are changing. Let's rotate the fall off again. We can see that from this view that every object on the left is not having any kind of transformation, while the object on the right are just getting influenced by the plane, so the -1 transformation. So we can say that the fall-off are a way to control where the animation of the plane is happening. We can also animate the linear field to get some interesting animation, and in the same way we can move the cloner. So let me repeat this again. A fall-off is a way to specify where the animations or the transformations of the effector will happen. And we can just remove the linear field. That was just to explain you how the fall-off works. And for this video, we're gonna use a different kind of fall-off. So go to fall-off and let's select a spherical field. Okay, nothing is happening because the fall-off is not touching the grid, but right now it is. So we can see something is happening. Okay, now we can see a couple of handles, these yellow dots. With the external one, we can control the maximum size of the fall-off. Then with the internal one, the transition of the transformation. We can see the same in this panel. We can set the strength of the transformation and the inner offset, so the transition. To have a smoother transition, go to contour and select curve. So the transition will be smoother, it's way better. So for this tutorial, I think something between 25 and 40 can do the job. Okay, maybe 40 is better, okay, but we want the transformation to be on the opposite side. So how can we do this? Click invert. Now we have the same fall off, but the actual transformation is happening outside of the fall off and not inside. See, if we move the cloner, we can see the transformation happening just in the cloners that are outside of the spherical field. Okay, now let's just deactivate the plane effector in the spherical field, select the cloner and apply another cloner holding Alt. Now we want to clone this grid to have a longer grid, so let's copy it with the Z axis. In order to create a perfect loop, we need to do some math, so I did it for you. In this case, to have a perfect loop, we need to clone the cloner by 310 centimeters, and it's easy. Why this? Well, let's multiply 62, that is the per step value of the previous cloner, times 5, the number of tiles of the cloner, and the result is 310. Now let's go to the coordinates of the new cloner and let's move it by minus 310 centimeters. Now let's reactivate the plane effector and the spherical field and let's rename the objects in our scene. Okay, now you can say, why did we clone a cloner? That's easy. Select the new clone and let's move it. As you can see, we have effected an animation of tile moving and disappearing. Now, go to this cloner. Set the first keyframe to minus 310 centimeters and the last one to minus 620 centimeters. So click again a keyframe to confirm the transformation, go to the curve timeline, then select both keyframes and select linear, so the movement will be linear. See? We can set transformation, okay, maybe it's very slow, but it's looping. This is the effect we want to create. Okay, now let's create a keyframe on the sphere, and in this case we want the sphere to rotate in this way. While the tiles are moving, the sphere is static but it's rotating, so it creates the illusion of movement. So let's keyframe the first keyframe to 0 and the last one to minus 360 degrees. Click to confirm and set the keyframe to linear also for this. Okay, now the movement is happening, but it's very slow. It's very slow, so let's try to fix this. Let's go to the sphere, and on the second keyframe let's put minus 720 degrees, so to complete spinning, and the keyframe is okay, is linear. Okay, now the sphere is moving way faster than the animation. Okay, now since the sphere is moving too fast and the tiles very slow, I'm going to speed the movement of the tiles. To do this, I'm just adding another minus 310 centimeters to the transformation and then increase the number of the clones. Okay, we're going in the right direction. Now the floor is moving way faster than the sphere, but not that much, so let's increase the speed of the sphere. And let's see, okay, I forgot to add the minus 720 degrees. Okay, I like it. I think the animation is done. I like the movement of the tiles, the rotation of the sphere, I think everything is okay. But we can add some extra details to make our animation more interesting. So for example, let's deactivate the pen effector and let's change the number of the clones. So we have more clones on the side of our tiles floor. Let's change the dimension of the spherical field to make it better. Okay, I like it more, but there is room to improvement. Now let's show the texture, pressing NQ. But let's add more complexity. We can do this easily applying a random effector. So let's deactivate the other effector in the scene right now. Select the first cloner, go to Mograph, Effector and press Random. As you can see, we've applied a random transformation in our scene. The settings are the same of the plane effector, but right now the transformation is not applied evenly to the objects of the cloner, but randomly. So let's go to Scale, click Uniform Scale and set something like, for example, minus 0.3 or 0.5. Let's set some stuff to the transformation. For example, everything to 60. Now go to the fall off, drag and drop the fall off we have in our scene, activate everything, and that's it. We've added more complexity in just a few clicks. So basically, what's inside the spherical field is not having the plane transformation and the random transformation, but everything outside, yes. So the little bit of randomness is helping our scene to be more awesome. Let's press play, and as you can see, the scene is way interesting than before. But this is not over yet. So for example, let's increase the size of the spherical field to have more tiles in our scene. But it is not over yet, we can do something more better. So let's select the single pieces of our tiles, drag and drop it holding Ctrl key of your keyboard, we can duplicate it. So we will have 3 different copies inside the cloner, and let's apply to each one of them a different texture. As you can see, our grid is getting colors. Go to the cloner, go to Object now, and in clones, now we have iterate, but let's try to random. This is basically randomizing the colors, the textures, and we can change the in the seed, the a different kind of random. So if, for example, this is too white, I can change the seed to have a different iteration of randomness. Okay, but it's not over yet, we can do something even better. For doing this, let's duplicate the cloner holding Ctrl and drag and drop it in the object panel. Let's deactivate everything but the new cloner. Okay, now insert a sphere holding Ctrl and delete everything from this cloner. Make the sphere smaller, like 2 cm or 3 cm of radius, it's a good value for this. Okay, maybe 2 is better. Since we have duplicated the cloner, it will have the same effector of the tiles. Now let's rename all of this, and I will call the main cloner particles, because right now we are just creating a fake particle system. Let's move the particle system way down. And we have some fake particles in our animation. Just to add some extra elements, some secondary animation that will sell our animation even better. We can also increase the maximum number of particles, so switch from per step to end point in the cloner and increase the numbers to like 15. Okay, let's move it down just a little bit, because now we're very close to the tiles. Now select the single particle and add another random, and we will call this sphere random, and it will only affect the particles. It's okay for the position, but we want just the randomness on the height value of the position, and maybe a little bit on the scale. So the particles will be in different size and different position. See, now it's even better, and the particles are not touching the tiles. We can see the particles is affected by the plane effector, the random effector, and by another random effector. Then we can duplicate the particles, create 3 copies, and change the color with the yellow, the black, and the green materials we have in this composition. Okay, maybe let's increase the size of the spheres. And I think that's it. This is our final animation. We have I think it's way better than before, adding some randomness to the tiles and creating these fake particles. And don't forget that you can download my original project on my Gumroad profile. You can find the link down in the description. If you want to know how to render this animation with Octane Render, go to the link up here. I will also leave the link in the description. And if you create something using my tutorial, please tag me on my Instagram, is mariomacca.design, link in the description. If you like this tutorial, like and subscribe to my channel, and if you have any question or you want to leave any feedback, you can do this in the comment section of this tutorial. And that's it for today. See you in the next video. Bye!